Well, this might actually be the exact same shirt and tie that I wore in the last video I made, but you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it anyway, shall we?
Yo, what's up everybody? This video is going to be about atheists. And I've been wanting to do this video for a while, but I just was waiting for the right time till I got everything I needed and it's all come together. So I'm gonna start with the two types of atheists there are. There's the atheist that has an extremely religious background, and then there's what I call a closed-minded, unintellectual individual with limited reasoning.
Yes, that is totally the only types of atheists that are in this world. The only types! There can never be anyone who ever sits outside of those two perspectives. No, they're all either extremely religious in their background or they're just closed-minded and have no sense of reason whatsoever, despite the fact that sense of logic and reason is usually what leads to atheism, regardless of what side you come from. Now, don't get me wrong, you're right. There are people who have a very religious background that become atheists, such as myself. I was raised a very strong Christian in a very strong Christian household, and I ended up becoming an atheist. But seriously, you're going to pigeonhole the entire group of atheists in the U.S. and the world in general in these two little camps of idiotic, without reason, or previously extremely strong Christian. No. There is a multitude of different type of atheists in the world, and your pigeonholing is never going to change that.
That's what I wrote down. I made notes because I really want to drive this home with some of you.
Well, I guess I'm just glad you had the foresight to actually write down some notes, because I have a feeling this is going to get bad really fast.
So those are the two types of atheists that I personally perceive in the world. So I wanted to start this video with questions or statements that are popular amongst atheists. And the first one I wrote down is, if God is real, why does he let bad things happen? It's interesting when I hear an atheist say that, because they're just blaming everything on God. Bad things happen because people make bad decisions. That's why bad things happen, guys. I mean, it's just crazy what you guys conceive as fact. It's ridiculous. People, well, let me see. What did I write here? People blame.
I'm glad to see that those notes are working out for you so well that you have to pause in the middle of your video that you're uploading. You could have recited this first. You could have practiced what you're going to say first. But no, we're just going to... Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. I was looking at my notes that I could have memorized beforehand. God bless. But no. When atheists ask the question of, if there is such a strong, wonderful, loving God, then why does he allow evil to happen? That is not atheists blaming God for everything. That is atheists asking a hypothetical question of, if your God is such a loving God, if he's such a wonderful being of light and love and compassion, then why does he allow evil to happen? Because if your God was such a loving God, this evil wouldn't exist. If your God was such a factual entity, then this wouldn't exist. We wouldn't have evil in the world. If he was a loving God, as described in the New Testament, at least through Jesus. If you go with the Old Testament God, well, it's pretty clear why there's evil in the world, and that's because God commanded us to be evil on regular occasions. That's a sheer fact. Read the Old Testament. He was a douchebag. But no, atheists do not, under any grounds or circumstance, blame God for the evil in the world. In all honesty, you're on the right track as to why atheists believe there is evil in the world. It's because people are assholes, and as assholes, they're going to do asshole-ish things. It's kind of hard for an atheist to blame God for the evil in the world when we don't believe in God. You kind of got to believe in the guy before you can blame him for something, right?
People are so focused on blaming God, they don't take the time to find out who he is even. You're blaming everything bad on God when you don't even realize that Satan and demons exist, and you don't even take time to consider who God really is or what kind of person he is. We're made in God's images, guys. So I just wanted to point that out.
Wait. Are you trying to say that demons and the devil are what cause people to do evil? And not just human nature and the human condition? Okay, let me take back what I said previously. You're nowhere near what atheists think about why people do bad and why people do evil things, because they don't believe it's because of the devil and demons. And even your Bible doesn't support that the devil or demons cause people to do things. No, the Bible doesn't support this. The most activity that Satan himself was actually given whatsoever was in the book of Job. And that wasn't the devil causing Job to do anything. That was just the devil being allowed to torment, because God, being the loving, wonderful God he is, decided to remove all his protection from Job and allow the devil to ruin his life and give him leprosy, kill some of his family members, give him multiple ailments and illnesses, and have other members of his family just leave him for nothing, made him be all alone because God loved him so much he wanted to test his faith. It's a lovely story, and God just loves you so much. God just loves you so much, he'll treat you like Job. But the Bible doesn't support that the devils or demons cause you to do evil. The Bible doesn't support this, so where the fuck are you getting it?
And besides, God said that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. You think everything bad happens because of God, but yet you have no real knowledge. You don't even really dig deeper than that. You blame everything on God and that's it. Come on, man. You gotta dig deeper than that if you really want to understand why bad things happen.
This coming from the guy who blames devils and demons for evil? Really? This coming from a guy whose only source is a book, and I've got one right here. Is a Bible? Yeah, that's the only one I got in the house right now. It's the one I had when I was a kid. But that is it. That is your only source. You tell us to dig deeper, and yet all you do is you go to one book and you're done. You don't use any other reference material whatsoever, and you say that we need to do more research and we need to dig deeper and we need to look into things more. Oh, come on. Stop deluding yourself. And as I said before, we don't blame God. It's kind of hard for us to blame God when we don't believe in him.
So the second one I wrote down is something that's common among atheists is they'll say, I only believe what can be proven. I find this interesting simply because the atheists always put it on the believer to prove something, to prove them wrong. Well, prove God doesn't exist. How about that one? Prove he doesn't exist.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Backwards Hat, but that's not how logic and reason works. That's not how it works. It doesn't work that way in the court system. It doesn't work that way within scientific theories. It doesn't work that way in the world. You're the one making the positive claim that a God exists. We're sitting here saying that we do not hold a belief in God. Not holding a belief in God does not make a positive claim one way or another in their existence. It's just making a claim that you do not have a personal belief in this God. And as such, the onus is not on us to prove that God doesn't exist. Because really, you don't understand what atheism is at this point, apparently. Atheism isn't a belief that God doesn't exist. Atheism is a denial or a rejection of gods. It is a denial of belief in gods. That's what atheism is. And as such, we don't have to prove that gods don't exist. Just like I don't believe that pink, flying, invisible elephants exist. Would you expect me to prove to you that pink, invisible, flying elephants don't exist? I doubt it. You would never expect me to prove that because it's ludicrous. Completely and totally ludicrous. But as you are making the positive claim that a God does exist, the onus is on you as the Christian and the one making the positive claim to prove the existence. I can't disprove God. I can't prove God. Hence, I'm agnostic. And as such, I'm also an atheist because due to my agnosticism, I do not hold a belief in God. So I'm an agnostic atheist. I will never be able to disprove God any more than you can ever prove God existing, which is your job, not mine.
And I'll take it a step further than that because I know that won't be good enough for some of you atheists out there. Even advanced science leaves room for the possibility of the existence of God. Don't you know that? If you were to look deep enough into advanced science, not just what you learn in middle school, I'm talking about real science you learn in college, they even leave room for the fact that that the existence of God is a possibility. So
what? What? No, 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 no. The glasses are coming off, homie. But oh my God. No. Science doesn't concern itself at all with the existence of a God or any gods. God is completely outside of the ideals of science, unless you're counting creationism, and that's just a whole nother story of stupidity. But no, science doesn't concern itself with the idea of a God. As God cannot be proven or disproven. It is amalgamous. It is a malformed ideal. It doesn't fit into science. Scientists don't look at something, say, evolution or string theory or anything of the sort and go, man, this would all make sense if you just put a God in there. That's not what science does. They don't leave this one little factor over here, variable G. They don't have variable G for God. Well, if this doesn't add up, just put God into it and it'll work, won't it? No, they don't. God does not exist in the scientific theory for the sole fact that with a God, you can do anything. You can make anything work with a God, apparently. And as such, it stands outside of science. It doesn't make any logical sense. There is no reasoning behind it whatsoever. Science does not leave room for God to be added into its theories at all. That's not how science works. And for you, talking about getting past your middle school and actually studying science and looking into actual science, that's quite humorous. And we'll get into that in a later video, won't we, buddy? Oh, yeah, we will.
it's just crazy. And then let me quote something that I found really interesting. It was a quote from Dr. Timothy Keller, and I quote,
No. You, Dr. Timothy Keller? You mean the man who has a PhD in theology? You mean a man who is a Protestant preacher? You mean a man who is a creationist? No. I'm going to stop you right there. This man does not speak for science at all. That would be like coming to me and asking me to quote something about biology or embryology or genealogy or anything of the sort. I'm not a scientist. I'm a computer person. I am a project analyst. I take data and turn it into charts and graphs so it can make sense to people who aren't me. That's what I do. That would be like asking me to say something and quote me about science. I am a layman when it comes to science. I probably know more about science than this guy does. Here's the thing. The guy went to school. Yeah, he's got a PhD. He's got a doctorate from a creationist school, from a religious school. He got it for theology and that sort of thing. He knows jack squat about science. He knows just as much about science as I do. Though, as I said, I might know a little bit more about the guy because I've actually studied it and looked into it. So, no, I'm not going to allow you to do that. I'm not going to include your quote in this video because it is malformed and it's unnecessary. And it has nothing to do with the subject material here for the sole fact the man you're quoting has nothing to do with science. Has nothing to do with it at all. Of course he's going to say you have to have God for science to make sense. He's a frickin' Christian who's going off trying to defend Christianity and disprove science. So of course he's going to make quotes of this sort.
I mean, that says it all right there. How is science even proving anything? What created science? How about that one? You know, man created science? I mean, hello? All you atheists think you're so intelligent by standing on scientific grounds without no real understanding of how it all works.
No. We don't stand on scientifical. Okay, let's make this clear. If you're going to try to make yourself seem more intelligent and credible than the person you're talking about, at least use the proper words. Don't use words like scientifical. It's called scientific. Okay? It's scientific evidence, scientific theories, scientific stance, not scientifical. But You really think that people such as myself look at science and go, hey, that's believable just because that's what it says, might as well just believe it? No, that is the Christian standpoint. That is the Christian belief structure. Just go, hey, the book says it, so it's got to be true. That's not how science works. There is evidence to back theories. There's research being done every day of the week. There is research constantly done. They'll go back and they'll change something if the research finds out that the previous theory or the previous hypothesis was incorrect, and the proof, the evidence that they find disproves the hypothesis, then they will change the hypothesis. They will adjust to match what the evidence says. They don't go with a presupposition of what the answer is and then say, let's find the evidence to prove it. No, that is the creationist mindset. That's not how science works. Do you really think people like Richard Dawkins, one of the most renowned biologists in the world right now, doesn't know anything about biology? Do you think Lawrence Krauss, one of the most renowned physicists in the world right now, doesn't know anything about physics? Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't know anything about his study either. Do you really think this is how it works with science? Do you really think this is how it works with atheists? You are misinformed, my friend. So very, very misinformed, and I feel sorry for you. Because you're an idiot.
You don't even realize what you're standing behind. It's ridiculous. Or what you're trying to come off as smart, and you're just relying on man, and that's worthless. That'll get you nowhere.
Yeah, says the guy who doesn't know the difference between scientifical, which is not a word, and scientific.
Popular one. There's so many
pull the other one, you idiot.
Wrong. I believed this at one point, guys. Okay, I'm not gonna leave myself out of anything. So this is pretty common. Not even just atheists. A lot of people say this. Oh, there's so many religions, they must all be wrong. Well, since there's so many, wouldn't it make sense that if Satan existed, wouldn't it make sense that he created all of it as a distraction to discourage you from finding the truth? Wouldn't that be a pretty intelligent tactic on his part?
So the reason that we have Islam, the reason that we have Buddhism, the reason that we have Judaism, which is really hilarious because it's a different religion from Christianity, yet it follows the beliefs of Yahweh just as well, just as Islam follows the beliefs of Yahweh, who is the God of Christianity. The reason we have Shintoism, the reason we have Taoism, the reason we have all these other religions is because Satan, from the pits of hell, said one day, dear God, my Lord, what Christianity? Oh, it exists now. Exist. It took millions of years to exist. It took all this time. I didn't have to worry about it before, no. When there was Jews around, no, I didn't have to worry about it then. They're worshipping Zeus over here. That's fantastic. I created Zeus, guys. I'm the devil. I created Zeus. Oh, Poseidon. He's one of my good buddies. Hades, well, I got bored and I need to be in every religion that's out there, so I created Hades as well. Oh, man. Oh, and these other guys who worship the different gods that have the same names as the planets? Oh, wow. It's created that too. Shinto, there's a spirit for everything. I created that. Taoism. Oh, Buddhism. I made Buddha as a real person, put him on the planet, and let him die being actually halfway decent man with some good theories and some good moral standings to what he said. So you're going to try to say that Satan did all of that just to destroy Christianity, just to confuse Christians? He created all these other religions just for that one sole reason? Wow! I'm pretty sure arrogance is something that the God of the Bible doesn't like, but you are showing some Christian arrogance right here, my friend. You definitely are. But even more so, if Satan was able to create all these religions, what's to say he didn't create Christianity as well? That fits within your logic and your reasoning that you're putting out right now. He could have created Christianity just as easily, and you could be just as wrong in following the words of the devil, and you're going to hell, my friend. You're going to hell.
I mean, wouldn't that make sense that's something like that is something the devil would do? I mean, they're not all right, guys. It's not hard to figure out which ones are full of crap and which ones aren't.
Yeah. They're usually based on a book that's been written over 2,000 years ago, has absolutely no scientific groundings or historical groundings to prove it whatsoever. They're usually the ones that are full of crap, right? Is that where we're going with this? Because I sure as hell hope so. Because that would be the truth, wouldn't it? It's not, is it? You're not going to go down that route. You're going to say that Christianity is the only one true religion and all the others are false, despite the fact that you have no evidence to prove that Christianity is the one true religion in this world. Oh my Lord! You're a beautiful, beautiful Christian. You stand on that faith. You stand on the ideal that you're right and everyone else is wrong. You show that Christian arrogance. You show that Christian arrogance, man. God loves it every time you do so. Being arrogant in yourself is God approved. No, it's not.
Which one have signs following? Who's making miracles happen? Who's casting out demons? Who's exposing the real truth on what's going on in the world? It's not even about religion, guys.
Which one is science back? Where's your scientific evidence in the Bible? The Bible that teaches that the world is flat. The Bible that teaches that the world is the center of the universe. Where is the scientific evidence in there? And that's where your miracles and the demons being cast out. Where's the evidence of that? Where's my miracles? I have never walked down the street here in Arkansas and seen devils being casted out of people because God, the power of God, came over them and casted the demons out. Bring me the demons. I've never seen that happening in Arkansas. I've never seen that happening anywhere I've ever traveled or visited. Where are your miracles? Where are the miracles? Give me the miracles. Prove that they could have only happened because God made it so. Prove to me that these miracles happened and existed and that only God could have caused it to happen. Do it. Do it, because until then you're talking shit. Oh my God.
You don't have to be a religious person to open the Bible. You don't have to be a religious person to research and ask questions. I don't know.
You're right. You don't have to be a religious person to do these things. And the wonderful fun part about all of this is that 90% of the time when someone does exactly what you just said, they become like me. They become an atheist because they open the Bible. They do the research with the reality of the world around them, and they see that the two don't connect. We do the research. I've done the research. I have read that Bible multiple times throughout my lifetime. I grew up believing every last word of it. It just took me 30 years of my life to realize that, man, it don't make no sense, bro. It don't make no sense. And that's because I opened the Bible. That's because I read it. And that's because I did the research. So yeah, I implore you, keep telling people to do the research. Keep telling people to read. We need more seculars in the world. We need more secular humanists. Make the world a better place. Breed a secular.
So let's go to the next one. Number 4, if God is real, then prove it.
We've already covered this one, haven't we? That was one earlier. What are your notes for? You've already talked about God being real and needing proof for God, and yet we're discussing it again? What was the point of the notes? Why did you even write notes if you can't even follow them? My God, notes are useless if you don't know how to count from 1 to 4.
I'm just going to start with this one with something God said in Psalms 14:1. He said the fool believes in his heart that God doesn't exist. So God is calling you a fool if you don't believe he exists. You have a strong delusion over you and you have no real depth to what you believe in. It's superficial. It's on the surface.
Oh yes, of course the Bible is going to say the fool says in his heart that there is no God. Of course the Bible is going to say this. The Bible is full of itself. Your God's full of himself. Of course it's going to say that the fool says in his heart that there is no God. It had to say these kind of things so as it could be used to prove itself down through the years, so it could be used as the perfect defense for itself, so it could be used by idiots like you to say, but look, the Bible calls you a fool. The Bible proves you're a fool because the Bible proves the Bible. Lord of the Rings proves Lord of the Rings. Let's all go worship Frodo and Bilbo Baggins. Harry Potter had prophecies that were fulfilled. Harry Potter proves Harry Potter. And it's a better written story too. So let's all go worship Hogwarts. Star Wars proves Star Wars. So let's all go worship Luke Skywalker, shall we?
You just conceived that belief and took it no further than that, which is sad. And that's why I call it a limited perspective when I'm talking towards those type of atheists.
So you call it a limited perspective when someone who was raised not believing in gods, and in those households, religion just really isn't a subject material or subject matter that's ever really brought up in those families because they don't care. But you call that a limited perspective? Really? You're the one, as I said before, that goes to one book. One! This is your sole piece of evidence. And you call us limited in our thinking. We went outside of that book. We looked at the evidence of the world around us. We looked at scientific review journals, those of us who follow science and those of us who believe things such as evolution and abiogenesis and these sort of things, the Big Bang Theory, those of us who did that. We looked at the world around us and the evidence that was there. We didn't just stop at the Bible. No! You're the one with the very limited perspective in life because you go to one book. And that's it.
I've had atheists tell me that the existence of God isn't logical. And that was just such a shocker to me because I was like, well then what is logical if God doesn't exist? How is all this logical if God doesn't exist? How is it logical that a Big Bang created human existence out of nothing? That's not logical. There needs to be further explanation to that.
It's logical because there's evidence that backs it. There's evidence that has been peer reviewed that backs it. There is no evidence for God, and that's why God is illogical. That's why God sits outside of logic and reason, because there's no evidence to back the idea of a God existing at all. That's it. There's evidence for the Big Bang. There's evidence for evolution. There's evidence for all sorts of things. That's why they're followed. That's why they're understood. That's why they're believed, because it makes sense in a logical and reasoning mindset. God does not. How hard is this to understand? Did you even go to school? I'm highly doubting it at this point. Honestly, I'm thinking you were homeschooled, just like the last girl that I commented on, and who didn't believe dinosaurs ever existed, and that's just fucking ludicrous.
But I don't know, some atheists, like I said, they have no depth to their intellectuality or whatever. I might have just made that word up, but whatever, you know what I mean. So if God is real, then prove it. I'll take it another step further with that one. I won't just give you a scripture and move on, because I have something else. You know, if God is real, then prove it. Have you ever actually stopped at night? The sun's setting, so hopefully it's not too dark for you guys. But have you ever just like looked around just at night, just at the stars, and just think about the fact that we are living on a planet floating in space with, what, 8 other planets floating around the sun? Whoa. Have you ever actually stopped to think about that?
So, let me get this straight. You're going to go the route of God exists. Just look around. How can you not see that God exists in this world? Look at the stars above you. Somebody had to put them there. Look at the world. It's just sitting here in space. Nothing's holding it. Unless you understand the theories of gravity, then you understand that the world is not just floating there. It's actually held in place through gravity. But this is going to be one of your stronger arguments, is just look at the world and, okay, I'm going to explain my thoughts for this entire thing with this face, this screen cap from your video. Yeah, that pretty much just explains everything right there. That face. That is exactly the face that I have when you say, just look around you at the glory of the world, and it just proves God. despite the fact that there's a natural reasoning and a natural explanation for everything in this world. You can explain everything through a natural reasoning. God is not required to explain the world. I'm sorry, that's just a fact.
And how long has this been going on? What's orchestrating the planets to revolve around the sun so perfectly and float in unison and without creating problems with each other and asteroids smashing into each other? And
it's called gravity, you nut hugger. How do you not get this? Did you not take any form of science in school at all? It's called gravity. Gravity explains all of that.
Scientists can't even get a grasp on how vast the universe is, guys. That's how serious this is. The sun is setting right now, and this is serious. But that's alright, I'm gonna keep going. So, I mean, how can you actually think deep and then not come to the conclusion that God exists? I just don't know how that's possible. I mean, I just don't get it.
You step outside of the Bible for more than 5 minutes and you realize it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't take a deep thought process. The idea of a God doesn't take a deep thought process. It takes you going to church on a Sunday morning and then the preacher looking at you and saying, okay guys, God exists, you don't believe it, you're going to hell. The God does not require a deep thought process. The whole idea of God and Christianity is a punishment thing. It's a either do this or suffer. Either believe that God exists or suffer. That's all it takes. It's not a deep thought process. For you to think it takes a huge intellectual mind to come with the idea of a God. Gods were created by people who had no scientific understanding thousands and millions maybe years ago. They were created multiple times for the sole fact to explain the world around them because there was no better way to do it. And it was the easiest explanation people could come up with. A God had to do it. A God had to put it into place. A God had to create this. That's not deep thought. That is the most simplistic way to explain anything.
Who is orchestrating all the planets to do that? And how do the planets know to do that? And how did life somehow come from a tadpole? I don't get that one. I have a problem with that, with the theory of evolution. I have a problem with that because it doesn't add up. There's no real common sense in that. It doesn't add up, guys. It doesn't.
Well, of course, when your best understanding of evolution is that everything came from a tadpole, of course it's not going to add up because you know nothing about evolution. Whoever taught you about evolution knew nothing about evolution. That's not what evolution states. That's not what evolution says. People like to say that, oh, well, we evolved from monkeys. The monkeys turned into humans. No, we have a common ancestry with apes. Humans are still apes. That evolution doesn't say everything and everyone came from a tadpole. So, of course, if that's your best understanding of evolution, it's not going to make any sense. You need to actually get someone who understands evolution to explain it to you. And sadly, I'm not the person. I could suggest a few people who would be able to help you down your path. And Charles Darwin would be one. Professor Dr. Richard Dawkins would be a good one. And even if you're looking on YouTube, Aaron Ra is not too bad at explaining evolution either. Go ask them. They're better at explaining it than I am. But you're sorely mistaken on what the idea of evolution actually states.
So, what else do I have here? Another thing I like to make a point of is atheist. When you talk to an atheist, I like to make the point of, what's your reason for life? And a lot of them are just gonna, what's the purpose for your life? Like, what's your purpose then, if you don't believe in God? And a lot of them will be like, oh, to be free, follow my heart, be independent, be my own person, do whatever I want, because everyone can do whatever they want, apparently.
No, Phil Robertson. That's not what atheists believe, that you can just do whatever the hell you want. That's okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are some atheists in this world who believe they can do whatever the fuck they want anytime they want. I cannot speak for everyone. I can speak for myself. That is not my mindset. And even the idea of live your life to its fullest, what's wrong with that? That is a fantastic mindset. Living your life. being you, experiencing as much as you can in your life. That is a fantastic thing. We don't have to have God for a reason to live. God is a reason to die because it gives you a hope for the afterlife. It gives you a hope for after death. It doesn't talk about this life. It doesn't give you a reason to live in this life. It gives you a reason to die. That's the only thing that a God gives you. It gives you a hope that after you die, there's more than just death. That's not a reason to live. It's very simple. I have my personal outlook on life. Do the best I can to make this world a better place around me, to affect change in this world as best as I can, to make the world a better place for the next generation, to help the next generation be a generation of better people, so the next generation after them can become even better than the last generation, so as we can advance the species and the world and society all together in a forward motion, in a positive forward motion, not a negative forward motion, which is what Christianity, which is what religion will inspire if it continues to control as much as it does. Because you look through history and you see what religion has done. Religion hasn't done that much good. Yes, it's done some good. Don't get me wrong. I will never discredit when religion has done good for the world. I will never discredit when religion has done good. But you look at what it has done, and multiple times it has done a bunch of bad for the world. That is my personal outlook on life. And how is that a bad outlook? For me to want to live my life the best I can, to make it a better place for my children and my children's children and my children's children's children, to make it better for the generations after me. How is that a horrible mindset? Just because I don't have God, that makes it a horrible thing because I'm not looking at my death and going, man, I sure hope there's a place I get to go to when I die because I just don't want to be in the ground. I want to be remembered. That is true immortality. True immortality is being remembered. There is no immortality in death past being remembered. God and religion will not give you immortality. And that's all that a religion or a God such as Christianity promises. It doesn't promise you a reason for this life.
And that's all good and fine. But don't you realize that if you don't believe in God or a creator and you just want to follow your heart, you have to accept the fact that everything in life is utterly meaningless. You have to accept that, and you have to proclaim it as truth. You have to believe that everything is utterly meaningless if you want to say that you don't believe in God. It goes hand in hand. You can't have it both ways.
How does not having a God make things meaningless? How? As I said, my personal outlook on life, making it better for the next generation, that's not meaningless. That's not pointless. That enacts change that is for the better. That is not meaningless. Meaningless is living your life while just looking at your death and being stuck on yourself. How can I get to heaven? How can I make sure I get to heaven? That is meaningless. That is self-indulgent. That is pointless. No, you're not enacting change for the future. You're more focused on getting to heaven than you are in making this world a better place for those who are coming after you. That's your focus. That, my dear friend, is meaningless.
Because if you're saying God doesn't exist, that we were just created from evolution of a tadpole or whatever, fish climbed out of the ocean and somehow became a monkey and somehow we were just poof. Oh, hey guys, hey, we can talk now. We're not monkeys anymore. Come on, man. I mean, take it a step further. Man, it's getting dark. This is bothering me.
Oh, look. The evolution of the species is at work. The fear of the dark, which is a fear that has come from millions of years ago because of the dark and the dangers in the dark. Oh, look how evolution is acting upon you at this very moment. That primal fear of darkness and of the night. Oh, evolution doesn't exist. We just poofed from monkeys and just magically were able to speak one day. Is your God not there to protect you? Why are you so scared of the dark? Why are you so scared of the dark? Is God not able to protect you from the evil darkness?
I'm at a park too. They need to turn the lights on. Anyways, so yeah, it's just crazy because when you ask an atheist what's the reason for life, why do you go to school to get a job, to get married, to have kids, and then, I mean, come on. How did the evolution somehow know to make us conceive, to know how to make us reproduce. How does that happen? That doesn't add up, guys. I mean, there's too many loopholes in the story of evolution. It's garbage. And then, so...
evolution, the theory of evolution, the origin of the species, the evolution of the species. It didn't just happen one day saying, hey, okay, humans, well, they got to start copulating. They need to fuck like little bunnies. No. Sexual reproduction was long before that. Long before the evolution of the human species. I should not be trying to explain evolution to a guy that is this inane. No, I should not be doing it. And like I said before, I'm not an expert on evolution. I'm going to leave that to the people who really know what they're talking about. But let me just say that you are wrong and you have no idea what you're talking about. None whatsoever. So of course it doesn't make any sense to you.
It's just crazy. You ask an atheist what's the purpose of life, they can never give you a straight answer because they don't know. But if I were to, I'm going to use this example that I also learned from Dr. Keller, is if I were to tell you to meet me somewhere, you would ask why. If I said to meet me here tomorrow at 3 o'clock, you would want to know why. Because you're going to have to take time out of your day, you're going to have to, plan on it, and it's going to have to be a thing, and you're going to want to know why. Well, shouldn't that be the same thing for life? Shouldn't you want to know why you're doing the things you're doing?
That's not a straight answer for your meaning of life. Your meaning of life is why? That you say that, oh, atheists can't give you a straight answer, and then you say my meaning of life is why. That's not a straight answer. That's a question. And you think that we go through life, especially those of us who follow science, who believe in the scientific theory and the scientific methods, you think we don't ask why? That is the whole reason for science. To ask why and then to explain it. That's the reason. That's the reason for biology and genealogy and abiogen. That's what science does. It asks why, and then it finds the answers. It goes to the evidence, and it uses the evidence to give them the answer for why.
It's crazy, guys. It's crazy, guys. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I wonder if it's crazy. I just don't know. Is it crazy? I'm pretty fucking sure it's crazy. It's crazy, guys. Oh.
So, there's nothing wrong with being free and following your heart and all that, but if you're gonna do it, you have to come to the acceptance that everything is utterly meaningless and pointless. I mean, you have to. If you're a college student and you're a philosopher, you should have read the book, The Myth of Sisyphus, or I think that's how you say it, Sisyphus. And it's about a guy who, these guys are really playing frisbee in the dark.
Stay on target. Come on. Don't be distracted. God is relying on you to convince the atheists that they're wrong, and you're letting yourself get distracted. Come on, boy. You can do it. You can stay on target.
It's about a guy. It's about a philosopher who writes a book about the meaninglessness of life if God doesn't exist. And in the last chapter, he talks about it's like a guy rolling a boulder up a hill constantly, every single day, and right before he reached the top of it, the boulder would fall back down. And that's what life is. You're constantly doing something meaningless and pointless until you're dead. That makes no sense, guys. That makes no sense.
That same philosophy, that same analogy could be said for religious folks and those who follow the Christian belief. You're rolling a boulder uphill that just says God on the side of it, but it doesn't make it any more meaningful. It's going to roll back down the hill as well. Or when you get to the top, it's just going to fall off on the other side, and then you're going to have to push it back up that hill. Regardless, God doesn't make that have more meaning. You're still rolling that boulder. It just says God on the side of it. What makes your God boulder any better than the boulder that I'm rolling that says science, logic, and reason? What? What makes your God boulder any better than mine? How does it make yours have any more point? Like I said, you're just working for an end result of going to heaven. You have no forward thought process past that at all. I work towards trying to make things better. I want to enact change. How does mine have less meaning than yours? How does mine not have more meaning than yours when I'm actually trying to do something for others? When I actually try to go out and help others, volunteer, try to donate as much as I can, try to do things, try to speak out when I need to speak out against certain things. How does your God boulder make your life have more meaning? Please explain this to me when all you're doing is working to get to heaven for yourself.
So if God doesn't exist and everything in life is pointless, you have to admit that love is just a chemical reaction, emotions are just a neurological response to the environment we live in, and you have to accept these as truth. Emotions are just a figment of your imagination, basically. You have to accept that as truth if there is no other existence other than our human life.
Yeah. Although I wouldn't say emotions are a figment of our imagination. Yeah, they're chemical reactions between synapses of the brain. That's a fact. That's how emotions work. That's how things work. Emotion, joy, anger, sadness, rage, wrath. All of these are chemical emotions. They're synapses. That's what they are. That's how they look when you look at a brain scan of someone going through emotional changes. How does God make that any different? Even you as a Christian, you would have this same emotional hits on your brain if you were scanned during these emotions. It doesn't change how they work. How does your God make your emotions more real than mine, that I hold for my children, the love I hold for my children, and the tolerance I hold for my ex-wife? How does your God change that? How does your God make your emotions more real than mine? He doesn't. He doesn't at all. You're just coming up with an excuse for why you have emotions. I'm coming up with the reason why emotions exist. External stimuli causes synapses of the brain to fire off and causes different chemicals to run through your body that causes different feelings and emotions to happen and come forth. Causes you to express them. Okay, fantastic. Natural reason behind it. And it's a beautiful thing because despite the fact that there's a natural occurrence to it, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't change love from being love at all. You can still love without God.
And that's kind of sad. That's kind of sad. So now let me just go and point out something that's really interesting that I learned. And it's in the first Gospel of John. The Gospel of John. The very first line, the very first sentence. The very first sentence says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Now, I'm going to take it a step further because when I found out something, it was very profound. And the word in Greek is logos. So the literal meaning of logos, which is Greek, if you don't know, the Bible was written in Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic. Jesus spoke Aramaic.
You mean Aramaic, right? Aramaic. But I'm sorry for stopping you there. I just had to correct your enunciation of a word. Carry on, my wayward son, please. Carry on.
And Arabic. And so the meaning of the word logos literally means the reason for life, the reason for existence. It's really dark. I hope you guys can see me when I play this back. And it's profound because, look, if I were to take the actual meaning of the word logos, the reason for life, reason for existence, the first sentence would say this: in the beginning was the reason for existence, and the reason for existence was with God, and the reason for existence was God. Doesn't that add up? That makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, yeah. Come on.
No. That all makes sense if you completely misconstrue what the actual definition for the word logos actually is, what the actual translation for logos actually is. The original meaning for the word logos, there were multiple meanings. One of them was a ground, a plea, an opinion, an expectation, word, speech, account, or to reason, not the reason. Your understanding of words is just as miraculous as your understanding of everything else, apparently. Which makes it really funny because when you go with that verse you gave, that first verse there, that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. When you take it and you bring in some of the other phrases that are able to, that the word logos originally meant, let's go with one of my favorites when I put this together and when I looked this up, was in the beginning was an opinion, and the opinion was with God, and the opinion was God. In other words, you could use the word logos, the original translation of it, to say God's just an opinion. And you know what? That, unlike yours, where you're misconstruing what logos meant and taking the to reason definition of logos and turning it into the reason, the word an opinion actually does make sense, since God existing is just an opinion. It's not factual.
So, if you're a human being, right? You were designed as a human being. Don't you realize there has to be a designer for there to be a design? It doesn't just happen on accident. I mean, you have to know this. You have to know this. Nothing happens on accident. A design must have a designer. A creation must have a creator.
But that also requires the assumption that you were designed and that you were created. That is the requirement for that. You try to say that we are a creation, that the world is a creation, that the world was designed. You have to prove that the world was designed. You have to prove that the world was created by something before you can do that. You have to prove it. You have to prove that the world, as it is, wasn't a moment of happenstance, that was just everything coming together into one. You have to prove that that is the case first before you can say that there has to be a creator for this creation to exist. You have to prove that it was a creation. You have to prove that it was a design. Until you do that, your words are disingenuous. Your words are unnecessary here. Your words are useless. What you're saying makes no sense because you cannot prove what you're saying, that this world was designed or created by someone.
So, I found this interesting because Jesus Christ is the Logos, guys. Jesus Christ is the Logos. Jesus Christ is the reason.
Jesus Christ is the ground. Jesus Christ is the plea. Jesus Christ is the opinion. Jesus Christ is the expectation. Jesus Christ is the word. Jesus Christ is the speech. Jesus Christ is the account. And Jesus Christ is to reason, not the reason. Yeah, we can do this all day long. Sometimes words have more than one meaning, and you're just going to cherry pick like a good Christian the one you want, and then even then you have to misconstrue it and you have to change it to what you want it to mean because it doesn't mean the reason, it means to reason. You're a wonderful Christian. You're going down the right path, man. You're fitting right there with Bill O'Reilly, Ken Ham, Kent Hovind, Chris Hovind, and Ray Comforts and all of his little buddies. You fit right in with every last one of them. Misconstrue the points, misconstrue the evidence, misconstrue things that are factual into fitting your worldview to make it seem like you're right and everyone else is wrong. Good job. You fit right in, buddy.
He's a reason for life. He's a reason we can have life after death. So, I'm just going to cut it off right there because it's getting too dark and I don't even know if this is going to play back well or if I have to remake it or not. But that pretty much sums it up, guys. I mean, you need to think deeper, on a deeper level. Simple as that. Be blessed in Jesus' name, guys. I'll talk to you next time.
So there it is. This is why atheists are stupid. This guy totally just told us why we're all stupid and why we have no idea what we're talking about. Now, here's the fun part. He did a follow-up video to this, responding to some of his critics and responding to some people who commented on his video. And you know what? Being the wonderful human, the wonderful atheist who has no judgment against him, who can do whatever he wants because God doesn't exist. Thanks, Phil Robertson. I'm going to make a response to that video as well. Look forward to that, and I'll see you next time, guys. I'm getting a beer. This guy's driving me insane. That's how you open a beer. A pair of pliers. Sweet Jesus. Scientifical. Scientifical. I'm sorry. If you want to call me a grammar Nazi, call me a grammar Nazi. But if you're going to try to seem more intelligent than your opponent, at least use the proper words. And Sony Vegas, just fucking, god damn it, Sony Vegas. Yeah, they usually end with ism or etianity. Christianity. Good morning, everyone. It's a wonderful Sunday. It's 8:30 in the morning, and I'm drinking a beer. There you go. Ah, cheers to me.